I used to be focused on the negative parts of life. So I was continually attracting negative things into my life. I rarely thought about the positive side of life. Jay taught me that positive and negative are actually called polarity. So maybe you can start by explaining what polarity is exactly.
Polarity is just two poles, two opposing sides of the same subject. You see it all the time. It's like everywhere in life, right? Like noise and silence, or inhale and exhale, or motion and stillness, or rich and poor. Two poles of the same subject. Each of those things is the same subject, and you're seeing one side of it or the other side of it.
So every topic has two sides.
Every topic that's a polarity has two sides.
Okay. But other topics can have more than one side, so then it's not a polarity, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just want to be clear that I understand.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So does polarity mean positive and negative, like I said in the intro? Because that's what it kind of felt like when you were giving examples. But I want to be clear and make sure that I understand.
Well, in my examples, is noise positive and silence negative, or vice versa? Is inhale positive or exhale negative?
Okay, no, not that one, not too much. Okay.
So,
well, it depends. If I'm underwater and I can't breathe, then inhaling would be a positive thing. No?
I mean, if you go back to our labels episode, this is a big reason why I avoid labeling things as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't avoid labeling everything, but
right.
I try to keep it to a minimum because it's all circumstantial. It all depends on the context. Something that's beneficial and good at one time is not beneficial and good at another. So whatever. Okay. A polarity is just a polarity. It is what it is. Inhale is what it is. Exhale is what it is. You don't need to label it as positive or negative. Silence is what it is. Noise is what it is.
Okay.
You don't have to label it as positive or negative.
Okay. So it's two sides of the same topic that have only two sides. I mean, because some topics have multiple sides. That's why I'm laughing, is because some things have multiple sides and some things only have two, the polarity. So then why does this matter to people in everyday life?
Because polarities are everywhere. They're so prevalent and so impactful in various areas of life that if you can spot them and understand them and leverage them, you can navigate life way better. You can win at life way better. People who don't understand polarities get screwed all the time.
Okay, can you give me some examples, please?
Sure. Have you ever been or met a doormat, a people pleaser?
Yeah.
Okay. A people pleaser is someone who doesn't understand the polarity of giving and receiving. The people pleaser thinks giving and serving others is God tier. They've been taught that it's better to give than to receive. And they've internalized it, and they know that giving is the path to victory and people will like them or whatever it is. They overemphasize giving and they over-focus on one side of the polarity. But that's not how life works or the economy works or flow works or relationships work. It's all give and take. Give and receive, and you have to receive to give anyways. And people who don't receive enough can't give very well at all.
That's very interesting. I had a really hard time with people pleasing for many years, and I still struggle with this a little bit now. And when we met, I had the hardest time asking for help. I remember when we were working on the first book and I was struggling with the program, I couldn't even ask you for help with that. I remember being in front of the computer and just crying because I didn't know what to do. And I had this amazing resource. You're super smart. And I knew that I could at least say it to you, even if you couldn't have fixed it, even if you didn't know how to fix it. Why was it so difficult for me to say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Can you help me maybe? Or do you know how I can do this better? Or I need help, or like, just, this is hard. And it was really difficult for me because I was really focused on, like you said, the other side of polarity of giving and giving and giving. I didn't want to take. I was afraid to.
Yeah, then you'll deplete yourself. You'll become poor and broke and alone, and you won't be able to give to anyone.
Right.
You have to receive. Go take in some help. Receive some money. Receive some food. Receive something. Like, you need to take.
Yeah.
It's an important part of the polarity.
When I finally broke down, you were like, I'm resource for you. What's wrong with you? Then I remember, because I was, for some reason, I wasn't able to be in my normal space that day. And I was literally in the bathroom with the laptop in the sink. I had like a bunch of towels in the sink to keep it. And I was listening to you on the phone, and we were working on it together. You were here in Toronto and I was in New York, and it wasn't a problem after that. Like, I don't know how you did it, but you you helped me and walked me through it. The point is that all I had to do was say, I need, this is hard, I need help. And you did it. And you would think that I would learn after that incident to like ask more, but I didn't.
I know.
It took a long time even after that. So that's why I said your example really resonates with me. And I know that topic in and of itself can be a whole nother podcast episode, but the point is I've done this on lots of occasions.
Right. But if you understood polarity, this would never happen.
Right.
Do you want another example?
Yes, please.
Have you ever known or been someone who is a workaholic? They just work all the time, all the time. They're always working. Do you know anybody like that who just loves to constantly create, produce, output something?
And I know a couple people, one or two people.
Right. Again, output and work is one side of the polarity. What's the other side?
Rest.
And input and rest.
Input and play and yeah.
Yeah. And so who is going to be more effective in life, be more creative, be more inspired, put out better work, get more accolades, and so on? The workaholic who grinds themselves into dust and works to the bone and doesn't make room for any kind of connection with nature or relationship or self-care or anything, or someone who balances that well and makes sure to spend some time in nature or go for walks or clear their head or make their body move or do something besides work.
No, the person that balances rest and input.
Absolutely.
With output and work.
Yeah. If you understand the polarity, this would never happen.
Right. And this is why, like, you urge me to do whatever feels right and to rest or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like in the darkest of times, I would just be playing games. And I didn't apologize for it. I didn't make excuses. I didn't say anything. I'm just like, I'm playing games now. Because I know I put out insane amounts of work for the last month or whatever. I want to play games for the day. I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to play games for a week. If I'm still going to put in another 2 months of crazy work, it's an okay balance. This is important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
You ever met anyone who holds their breath?
Yes.
Like barely breathes?
Yeah.
It's like one inhale and then they're tense and they're holding their breath for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then an exhale and then another inhale. It's like, what is this? You're messing with the polarity. You know what happens to someone who holds their breath like that?
No.
Major health issues, stress issues, anxiety.
Yeah, that's true. All right. These are great examples. Okay. So what does focus, if anything, have to do with polarity of things?
Oh, everything.
Okay.
If you have two sides of a subject, the subject of breathing, you've got inhale and exhale. The subject of expression, you have silence and noise. The subject of currency, you have poverty and wealth. If these things are all one subject, how can you possibly create one side? Like if you need silence, how are you going to get silence in a noisy environment?
Leave.
Right, but that's going to require you to
focus.
Right.
Okay, so you have to focus on the side you want, is basically what you're saying.
Exactly. If you are a broke homeless dude, like I have been, if you want wealth, what do you have to do?
Focus on the wealth.
Yeah. You got to focus on getting out of that situation and getting into a better situation.
Yeah. Okay. So focusing on the solution or what you want, whatever topic it is.
Well, it's all one subject. Like you're on currency, right? You're on the topic of currency or you're on the topic of expression. If you're already on the subject of breathing, your mind and your emotions are on the subject of breathing. You're already focused on this subject. So you're going to be focused somewhere along the polarity. There's only two sides and your focus is going to land somewhere on there.
Okay.
It doesn't magically get off. You're not off focused on puppies and cats. You're focused on that subject. And where your focus lands on that subject matters a lot. If you're on the subject of activity or productivity or output or whatever you want to call it, IO, input, output, your focus is already on that subject, and it's going to land somewhere on that polarity. You're either focused on the input part or you're focused on the output part. And in life, if you're not managing this properly, if you're not managing your focus properly and focusing on the poles that are most important or vital or necessary for you, then you're screwed.
Right. So like, it's not just focusing on the topic, it's focusing on the part of the topic that matters to you, that you want to change or you want to focus on. So if I'm focusing on money and I'm worried about, well, I want more money, but I'm worried about the bills and I'm worried about not having it.
Well, your focus is way over on the poverty side of the pole.
Right. So
polarity.
Right. Okay. This is very helpful. Thank you.
Focus matters a lot. So first you have to understand polarities, and then you need to practice directing your focus when those polarities occur. Like you could be browsing through your Instagram feed or TikTok feed or whatever, and suddenly someone's posting about, oh, my mortgage, whatever. And now you're on the subject of currency.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Your focus is already somewhere on that subject. But now the question is, do you direct it towards poverty or do you direct it towards abundance?
Right.
When you hear that story of that person's mortgage, do you think, well, I'm sure they'll get out of it, or people have been in worse or whatever? Do you start focusing towards the abundance side? Or you're like, oh yeah, that's society, man, and the banks and everybody, that's how it goes. Fuck real estate, whatever. And now you're on the poverty side. But as soon as that hit your feed, you're on the topic. Like,
yeah, I got you.
And so which side of the polarity are you focusing on?
Okay. So again, most subjects have two sides.
A lot of them.
And then it's where we want to put our focus on it, to pay attention to it and allow this into our lives or not. So helpful, very helpful. Thank you. Sometimes it can be difficult for some people to shift their focus from something that's hurting them, something negative. You used an example of somebody who wanted a better situation, like to lift themselves out of a homeless situation or maybe an abusive situation or whatever. And sometimes it's easier. I know it's weird. It's easier to focus on the thing that's hurting us versus on the thing that, on the same topic, that will help us improve this situation. So do you have any suggestions or ideas for those who are having a hard time focusing on the solution part or the part that would improve that we've been focused on so long to get out of that pain?
Yeah, basically you're saying depression feels like home, or negativity feels like home, or abuse feels like home, or homelessness feels like home.
Sometimes those negative things feel more comfortable than doing the things and taking the steps to move out of that. Because to make major changes in our lives, sometimes it feels hard and it feels difficult. So it's easier to stay into that. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a wonderful thing. But yeah, sometimes it's easier. It feels better.
Sure. And that makes sense. Because your body and mind are adaptation machines. I mean, they're not machines, but you get the point.
Yeah, I know.
They're good at adapting. And part of the adaptation is becoming comfortable with whatever's going on. If I threw someone into a torture chamber for X amount of time, it sounds terrible, bad or whatever, but eventually they adapt and it becomes normal. And so what sounds excruciating to you, who's never felt it, they're like, it's a Tuesday for me.
Yeah, like no biggie.
Yeah, like I get whipped all the time in the back or whatever. It's whatever. I got calluses. Like I've adapted. And then if you take them out of that, they might have Stockholm syndrome and actually want to go back to like the torture environment.
Right.
So anything can feel like home. Doesn't mean it's good. But if you understand the human body and mind and how good they are at adapting, you understand why something can feel like home.
Right.
To a stage performer, the stage feels like home. To a shy introvert who's never been on stage, it feels like hell on earth.
Yeah.
To a druggie, a junkie, shooting up feels like home. To a teetotaler, shooting up feels like the worst thing on earth.
Yeah.
And even if they tried it, they'd be like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
But if you do it enough, or if you were to force them to do it, they would adapt and it would eventually feel comfortable, easy, like home. And then for them, changing or breaking that behavior would now feel hard.
Yeah.
But people get confused. They're like, oh, it feels easier to shoot up. It feels easy to stay in the abuse. It feels easy to be at the torture chamber. It's like, what? I mean, yeah, I guess because you've adapted to it and now it's your comfort zone, but this is not a good argument.
No.
Great. It feels good to you. I don't care. Change. Jesus. How long are you going to keep this up? You staying in the torture chamber. You're staying in the drug addict thing. You're staying in the homelessness or whatever.
And it's not a judgment at all.
No, it's not a judgment.
Judgy.
It's just logical. Like, you can make anything feel comfortable. You can go hunch over in a chair all day in front of a laptop and your posture can get damaged or whatever. And then someone can try and tell you change it. And you're like, no, this is comfortable for me. This is how I like it.
Yeah.
I like to do this. And then this is the whole thing about life is people get comfortable on some shitty polarity and they adapt to it. And now it's their comfort zone. And now it feels hard to change. But if you're a grown adult, I got news for you. You got to change it. You know it's bad for you. I know it's bad for you. Stop doing the easy thing that feels comfortable. How did you get here? How did you get to comfort? You made yourself do this thing over and over until it became comfortable. It didn't magically start comfortable. It didn't start comfortable shooting up. It didn't start comfortable hunching over like this. It didn't start comfortable holding your breath. You did it over and over. The first time it was not comfortable, but you did it anyway. Shot up anyway. The second time, shot up again.
Yeah, by the
it became comfortable.
Yeah, it becomes more comfortable the more you do it.
Right, but you made that thing go from neutral, never done before, neutral, to comfortable. And so now you're comfortably in the shitty polarity. Okay. And so now you got to do the uncomfortable thing to get back to the other polarity. Okay. This is why David Goggins has so many fans in his book and whatever, because he's like, do whatever, do the hard thing, have the discipline, step up, be a man, do the thing, whatever. I don't follow him too much, but that's the vibe, right?
He's super harsh, yes.
Yeah, but he's right. The world needs this because everyone's just a bunch of comfortable namby-pamby wussies who are like, what? They are. I don't care if the viewers hate me.
No, that's not. I was just going to interrupt you to say something else. I agree. I love the tough love. I'm all about it. I'm a huge fan of David Goggins. I think there's nothing wrong with tough love. That's not the face I made. I was going to say, okay, yeah, you're right. There's people who are like in the comfort zone. They don't want to leave. They cry about it, but they don't want to leave. They don't want to take the steps.
And their excuse is it feels easier this way.
Right. Okay. So for the people who have felt that way before, but are now ready and they're like,
oh, then for them,
like old me who was ready to change, but didn't know what to do. So
that's fantastic.
What do we do?
Amazing. If you're there, you're like, you know what? This is not good behavior for me. Even if it's hard, I'm willing to change. Now we're talking. All right.
Yeah.
That's a real take on things.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So for them, they need to start taking baby steps.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to dip your toe in the water. If you survive a drowning and now you're comfortable out of the water and your comfort zone is on land, but you want to get back in the water and you know you don't want to close this area of your life off and you would like to swim again, that's a good place to be, fine. But still, what do you have to do? You have to dip your toe in the water. You have to sit there with your feet. You have to wait a little bit. You have to, take baby steps and become more comfortable and acclimatized to that side of life. Right. There's the polarity. There's the stay on land polarity, or there's the jump in the water polarity. That's your two things you can do for swimming. On the topic of swimming, that's the polarities.
Right.
Swim or don't swim.
Yeah. Swim or don't swim.
Right. Those are the polarities.
Right.
And if you're at one side, don't swim, and you want to get to the other side, swim, you're going to have to take baby steps.
Yeah.
Try it with a life jacket, whatever. You have to be creative. You have to be a full-grown adult and put your head down and your mind to it and start finding ways to get there.
Yeah.
Some people are able to go cold turkey or switch from one side to the other very, very quickly. It's usually a bit drastic and extreme and violent, and it's not very appealing, this kind of journey. But maybe that works for you too. Either way, you need to start taking steps. Whether it's baby steps or quantum leaps, you need to start taking steps towards the other side. If you have trouble focusing on abundance, you got to spend 30 seconds of your day focusing on abundance, 5 seconds of your day to start, whatever. And then the next day, 6 seconds. And the next day, 7 seconds. And you start journaling about it. Now you start making mind movies of whatever of your abundance. And now you start planning your own marketing. And now you're buying marketing books and money-making books and sales books. And now you're studying with a mentor. And not like it's been step after step after step. And now you've gone from someone who can't do anything with money to someone who's making it, someone who's crushing it. But this is it, right? If you're on one end of the polarity, you want to get to the other one. All it is baby steps in practice. And there's no way around it. No one can do it for you. There's no magic pill. There's no secret hacks. There's just whatever steps you can come up with. Google's out there. You can Google a million steps on how to go from one side of the polarity to the other. If you're a workaholic, you can Google it and find ways to be a vacationer. If you're a cluttered person, you can go to minimalism. If you're poor, you can go find wealth. Like, it's out there. But I can't walk over to these people's house and do it for them. They got to start taking some steps.
Taking those baby steps.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was going to say our book is a great baby step. It's one of the best ones you can take because it makes all those perspective shifts and mindset shifts that give you a whole new view on things. And all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of actions open to you that you never knew before. Plus, it serves you up all those resources that I've gone through years to find.
Yeah. So you put this in the book. The Polarities is in the book.
Yeah, it is.
Why did you choose this? We have 27 pages. We've took 27 topics. Like, there's a ton of good stuff in there. And there's a ton of stuff we even have ready for volume 2.
Yeah, I cut out a lot of stuff.
So then why did you leave this? Like, what was the choice?
It's one of the best. It has to go in. Polarities are so important. People are at the single side of polarity and they want to be the married side or the partnered side or whatever. They're in the isolated side and they want to be at the connected side, the bonded side. People are in the lazy side and they want to be the productive side, or in the productive side and they want to be on the relaxed side. Like,
yeah. Well, this isn't a topic very many people are talking about. I had a difficult time finding things to research for this.
Yeah, but they should be talking about it because it affects their lives a ton.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
It should be taught in schools.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Okay, but you might not like this question, but can I just have everything I want if I stay in my darkness and in my negativity and in my lack mindset? Can I just like have the things I want and still be like the darkness inside?
Do you think if you're at the cluttered end of space management topic, you can stay focused on that and magically get the minimalist, clean, ordered side of space management? Like, does that make sense? Logical sense? Why would that ever make sense, right? If you're on the topic of swimming and you're on the stay on land side and not the jump in and swim side, you think you can stay focused on the stay on land side? Just keep focused there with your focus, never take any steps towards the water, never adjust your focus, and magically end up Olympic swimmer or something?
No.
Okay. So you tell me, right? If you can find me one human on earth who is focused on dark, dark shit and they're manifesting some great, beautiful, vibrant, abundant life, then I guess I'll back down, but I don't think you can find one. Like, even some of the most terrible dictators in the world, they're not sitting at home thinking like, I hate everyone and the world is bad and I am depressed and whatever. They're thinking, yo, I'm taking over the world. Once I get rid of that race, this is going to be amazing. I'm on a roll here. I got my team. I'm crushing it. They're thinking positive things. If you could read their mind, they are not thinking dark thoughts to achieve what they're achieving.
So even the evil people or bad people are not focused on the darkness or the bad thoughts. They're focused on what they want.
Yeah. Like, I believe in this. I believe in a cause and I'm going to manifest it until somebody stops me. And then when they get assassinated or fall, right around that time is when they started focusing on negative things. People are coming for me. It's falling apart now.
We've had this conversation before. We're talking about cult leaders and stuff and how
when they build their fans, they're focused on the building side.
Yeah.
When they're losing everything, they're focused on the destruction side.
Yeah. And they're focused on getting caught or people dying.
There's things being destroyed.
Right.
There's things falling apart. This is a polarity. There's building stuff. I am building something great and it's happening more and more every day. And I am focused on it and I am crushing it. And my team is helping and I'm learning all the skills and I'm on fire. And there's the things falling apart side. Oh, nothing I do works. And I have setback after setback. And oh my God, and this and that. And that's it. Those are the two sides of the polarity. And you show me anyone who's focused on this end, who's manifesting some incredible, awesome result, I'll take it all back. But you won't find one.
Okay. Yeah. I got you. Makes total sense.
Yeah, it's just logic.
All right. Well, that's a darkness in me that I wanted to know. It's just wanted to know. Like, can we sit there? But it makes sense. It really does. Okay. So thank you very much.
And it's good you asked because a lot of people think that. They think I can just wallow in my depression. I can just keep listening to crappy music. I can just keep filling my feed with bullshit. I can keep gossiping with friends about how bad life is. And I will magically make it to the other side of the polarity. They actually think this is going to work.
I know.
It never does.
No, I've been there too. Like I thought when I first started my personal development journey, I thought, well, I would get up at 5 a.m. and I would exercise and I would spend time alone. And then when everyone started to get up and I was like in contact with other people, I could feel myself always drift back into that depression and not knowing what to do. And not because of them, it was just myself, because I wasn't focused on learning how to improve myself with other people around me, which was my bad. But anyway, the point is, I didn't focus. I really believed that if I got into my depression and I was angry or whatever, the beginning morning, the getting up early and reading, and that would counteract that, the depression and the anger. But it really didn't. It kind of kept me at a neutral spot and not moving forward.
Yeah, because on the polarity, the waking up early in the morning thing is a step, a baby step towards the good side of the polarity.
Yeah.
Happiness or whatever.
Yeah.
But then being depressed the rest of the day is just a step back. And now you're focused on this side of the polarity again.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes for in shape and out of shape, right? If you have the in shape polarity and out of shape polarity, if you're honest with yourself, how often are you focused on one side or the other? Most people, actually all people who are trying to get in shape and struggling, if you could read their whole vibe, their heart and mind with a focus meter, that focus meter would be like they're focused on being out of shape.
Right.
They are. They have one thought like, oh, I bet I can look good one day. And it's like, they inched towards in shape. And then the other 4 hours of the day, they're like, oh, my energy's low and I don't feel good. And I just feel like eating and pigging out. And it's like, where's your focus? Holy crap.
So is this, do you think, again, it's only opinion because you don't know the answer, but do you think this is why so many people, because I hear this all the time when I talk to people, I can't control my thoughts. I can't help what happens in my life. Like I can't, like they're super focused on the things that can't happen and can't change. And so if they maybe focus on the opposite, like you're saying, that this would improve their life.
Well, there's two polarities, can't and can.
Yeah.
And when they were a kid, they can control all their thoughts. Mm-hmm. No one's brain controlling them or mind controlling. There's no chip inside them or whatever. Mm-hmm. They can control their thoughts. When they got that first drug or that first snack food or that first candy, they got to control their thoughts. They could think this is a nice treat, or they could think, I'm going to obsess about this forever. Like I'm going to chase this down wherever I can find it. Mm-hmm. Those are your thoughts. And once you get in a comfort zone of a negative polarity or a polarity you don't like, you can still get out of it. Tons of people go from poverty to wealth, or drug addicted to clean, or cluttered to ordered.
Yeah. All right.
It's doable. You're a grown up. You just have to start controlling your thoughts with baby steps. No one controls your thoughts but you.
So somebody who's been deep into the negative thinking or into the dark side of whatever thoughts they're thinking,
it's going to be harder for them than everybody else. Step up to the challenge.
Well, I was going to ask, even if it seems like it might be harder for them, it is still possible,
of course,
to move those thoughts, or to move the focus.
Of course it is.
Onto the other side.
Thoughts aren't some magical like nuclear weapon that is just hanging over your head and refusing to obey you. Like, it takes practice. When people first start meditating, their mind's going a mile a minute and they're like, I can't focus my mind. I can't calm it down. They always do eventually.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Going back to what you said earlier, it's baby steps. So like I was the queen of darkness. Like nobody lived in more negativity than me before we met. And yet my whole brand is about being positive and light and love. And like, if I had told myself 6 years ago, hey, your brand is going to be all about being cheerful and positive and people are going to think you're too cheerful, I would have been like, hell no, that's not me. No. But that's who I am. That's who I've become, because I took baby steps out of that darkness to move into the light. Because for me, it mattered. Now, I want to say too, I want to just point out to those people who want to stay in the darkness, who like that, for whatever reason it is, if you want to stay there, we're not saying you can't be a great person until you move into the light.
Well, that's why I said every polarity is not good or bad. Right. If you want to stay out of shape or whatever, that's fine. If you want to live off the land and be a hermit, like you're poor or poverty, that's fine. There's no judgment from me on any of the polarities, but they exist and you should navigate them consciously.
I said it because I can hear something old, the old version of who I used to be would have said, yeah, but I like that. I don't want to be.
Okay.
So that's why I'm bringing it up now on the here on the podcast.
Yeah, I get you, but it's a weird thing to say. Like, I'm explaining a simple lesson. It's like a history teacher or a math teacher or a science teacher telling you some basic lesson. You're like, well, I'm going to do it differently in my life. It's like the teacher's like, I don't know. It's right. So uncalled for. Like,
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that people who are watching the podcast or listening aren't really focused on the dark, and they want to have their eyes wide open, and that's why they're here.
Yeah, we have a great audience.
But I still wanted to put that out there for those who are maybe struggling, because I struggled with that. I wanted to hold on to the darkness and to the polarities that felt the sides that
comfortable.
Yeah. The sides that felt comfortable. And I went kicking and screaming away from some of them. And it took me way longer than it needed to because of that. So I just wanted to put that out there. So anyway, thank you. So I have a question now that came from a conversation earlier this week between us. So picking between two things, the polarity of choosing two different things. Like I asked you this week, are you more like your mother or your father? Right. So the polarity of choosing these things, and we had a whole discussion about it that I really wanted to share on the podcast because I thought it was really interesting. So what was your answer? I asked you, who are you more like, your mom or your dad?
And I said neither or both. I really feel like I took the best traits of my mom and the best traits of my dad and combined them, because my mom was really feminine and loving and emotional and expressive and so on. And my dad was really focused and driven and disciplined and integrous and masculine and logical.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, these are both great. Let me use both of these as much as I can. And so I feel like I'm similar to both.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a cop-out, because like I have a male body. I mean,
you are a male. It's okay.
Gender spectrum aside. And I lean towards masculine activities,
mm-hmm.
right? Like business and rock climbing and stuff like that, weightlifting or whatever, video games.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if I had to, I'd lean a bit more towards my dad's side. But the point with polarities is to accept both sides. Every human being has masculine and feminine traits inside
mm-hmm.
them. And every human being can be more like their mom or more like their dad or more like their uncle or more like their aunt or whatever in a given situation
mm-hmm.
when it's called for, when it's necessary. The same way we need both inhale and exhale, and we need give and receive in appropriate amounts. We need to be nurturing like our mom or disciplined like our dad or whatever at various times in various amounts.
Right.
And like in life, you need the sunshine and the rain. You need the pleasure and the pain. Like the whole point of polarities is it's all one subject. You don't magically get to get rid of one side of the subject. It is all one subject. It is a universal subject that cannot be snapped in two or broken apart or separated. It is always the same subject. If you want to ever be wealthy or abundant, then unabundant things must exist somewhere.
Yes.
And even if the whole earth, everyone was rich and abundant, there would be unabundant aliens somewhere, or some of the creatures or the animals would get the shaft or something. Like they'd be unabundant. Unabundance would have to exist somewhere. A lack would have to exist somewhere. You can't have health without illness. Like you can't have connection without isolation somewhere.
I understand. You can't have light without dark.
Yeah.
So this is just the bottom line. So, okay. But part of the thing that I found interesting about this question, about this topic when we're talking, the mom and dad thing. So you chose like a third way. You chose a third answer.
Yeah. Basically, I feel like I'm both.
Right. So many people want to, on any of these topics, like you said, it's all one topic, right? And a lot of people want to reach for the black or white. I don't mean race. I just mean black or white, the colors. You know, like people want to pick one or two.
Yeah, and they want to be, I'm more like my mom, or I'm more like my dad.
Yes, thank you.
I'm left wing. I'm right wing.
Yes.
Yeah, because people like to get comfortable with one of those polarities.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
You like to be comfortable in your depression and you don't want to do the other side.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not anymore, but yeah.
At one point, that's how it was. And people feel happy and confident and certain about life when they can commit to one side and they don't have to worry about the other side.
Yeah, when I was a Democrat, it was easy to say I'm a Democrat. And now that I am center leaning right, like people don't want to hear that. They want me to pick left or right, but I can't.
Well, and even when you were a Democrat, any subject, if I wanted to talk to you about Trump, you'd get all upset. If I wanted to talk to you about money or business or capitalism, you'd get upset. If I wanted to talk about men's rights or something, you'd get upset.
Yeah, exactly.
Because once you're committed to one side and you're comfortable on one side of the polarity, you get to just be pissed off or dismissive of the other side anytime you want. And it makes life super easy.
Yeah.
No thinking involved. I've chosen my identity. I identify with it. I've labeled it. I lean towards this polarity. I'm comfortable here. And anything that's outside of this, I'm just ignoring or yelling at.
100%. 100. This is exactly how.
But this is not a good way to live.
No,
it's not healthy. It's not helpful. And it creates pain for everyone involved.
Great.
If you just keep inhaling, life's going to go pretty bad.
Yeah. You got to exhale eventually.
If you just keep giving, you're going to end up destitute and drained and empty and unhealthy. Like you're going to die. You can give till you die if you want.
Yeah.
Great. Who does that help? Maybe you should receive, make a lot of money so you can give to many. Yeah. Inhale and exhale. Give and receive. Sometimes silent, sometimes noisy. Sometimes working, sometimes resting.
Yeah. Well,
most polarities, you need to experience both in appropriate amounts. And people who over-identify with one polarity are screwed. They're in for trouble. It's going to be rough.
Great.
You will not be happy with life.
Yeah.
You can't. If I overwork, work too hard, and ignore the other side of the polarity, I'm screwed. I will not enjoy life. Bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Last time I did it, I got sick. Very sick.
You did. Yeah.
And it reminded me of the polarity that I was ignoring. And it reminded me to go for a walk once in a while or play a game once in a while. It reminded me that constant productivity and output isn't the amazing thing our society pretends like it is.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. And it's good to be productive in balance as long as you take care of the other side of the polarity.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I don't identify as more like my mom or more like my dad. I use both polarities and both of their traits whenever it suits me. And I do my best to balance them. If I had to, I would say I lean a little towards my dad's side.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. So in Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1, in the section of the book we're talking about polarity.
Great book.
It is a great book. And throughout the book, not just in this section, but throughout the book, you mentioned practice. So how can we practice this topic? And why does practice matter?
I mean, we kind of covered that in the other question about focus and baby steps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But practice is one of the most powerful, impactful, helpful, and overlooked parts of life. It's one of the most vital ingredients to succeeding at anything you want. Like, let me ask you something. Name something you're good at.
Swimming.
Did you magically start out good at swimming or did you have to practice?
Oh, no, I had to practice.
Name something else you're good at.
Crafting.
Were you magically just the best at that at the start or did you have to practice?
No, I was awful. I had to practice.
Now name something you were good at just naturally.
Making friends.
All right. But even something you're naturally good at, like making friends, did you still put in the time to practice?
Yes. I had to practice and make lots of friends to know I was good at making lots of friends.
Right. So anything you were successful at involved a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine if you took out this ingredient from something that you wanted to be successful at. Say you wanted to be successful at marketing or business, but you refused to practice.
Oh, no.
What would happen?
You can't. You can't be good at that if you don't practice.
Okay. Say you wanted to practice focusing not on being out of shape, but instead on the new polarity of being in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have any practice with this. You've never done this before, but you know it's important.
Yeah.
So
I would have to practice. Okay.
You see?
So it's just practice, I think. And I know this is also could be another podcast episode, but I think you bring it up so much in the book and of course in our daily when we talk about stuff.
Look, you couldn't name one thing that it wasn't essential for.
Yeah, like even the things I'm naturally good at, things that I don't even have to practice, I do. That's how I know I'm good at them. Otherwise, how would I know? Like I might be a violin genius, but I've never. I haven't picked one up since I was like a teenager. So
You'd have
how
to
the hell would
practice a
I
bunch of
know?
songs to find out.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But yeah, because I don't pick it up on a regular. So okay, this is good. This is really good. So one of the things that most people don't talk about, especially in the personal development world and self-help world where we are, this is our niche, basically. Nobody talks about this, about practice.
Yeah, because the personal development world makes their money from theory and study.
Yeah.
It's a theory and study arena. In sports and dance and stuff, they'll talk about practice all the time.
Constantly.
Gymnastics.
Yes.
Oh, because that they make their money by getting you into the studio for
Yes,
practice.
for practice. Yeah.
So they're very financially motivated to talk about practice.
Right.
Most personal development gurus, they want to sell you the dream of easy change, life snap, like this.
Yeah.
You don't
Watch
need to
my
practice.
content.
Yeah, just study my content and learn, and
Yeah.
you're magically gonna solve all this.
Yeah, yeah.
But I teach a lot of good things, and I explain a lot of good things, but I do my best to never leave out the importance of practice. And I don't care if you never read or study or listen to another one of my things, as long as you go out there and practice, because the practice is where you get the change and the growth and the impact. It's the key ingredient, and all the study and theory in the world is going to do nothing for you without practice. So yeah, I make a point to talk about it.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that a lot of people don't see, like, they see the value of practice dancing and hiring a dancing coach and going to dance classes and getting better at this. But they don't see the value of practicing, choosing the polarities, focusing on which side you want, improving your life. They don't think about like practice as being practical in this section of their lives, which in fact, I would say is almost more important than the physical things, the dancing and the sports and the hobbies and these things, because this is who you are for constant all the time. So if you're not practicing on improving, being a better person, being a better you, being the best version of you, especially if you want to change, then how can you?
You can't.
Right. And so if you go back and you ever look, if I was to post like our very first video together.
Well, even our first podcast episode is, I was saying like and every 2 seconds. I still do, but I've been practicing to get better.
Yeah. Right. I know you have. Mm-hmm. And you have, because like I was going to say, if I pull out that old Rise Wisdom, not even the Rise Wisdom, the Den, those videos from back then, the very first ones we did, you could see such a difference. And the reason that we improved was because we practiced all of it. So like the people who want to improve themselves, I don't think it's possible to improve without it, is my whole point.
Yeah. It's an essential ingredient.
Well, I know it was a bit off a topic for polarity, but I think it really matters, especially with the topics that you don't think you need practice with. And this topic feels like one of those things that people may brush off practice with.
Well, and it's a polarity. Don't practice or practice.
Yes.
Ignore practice or seek practice. Avoid practice or obsess over practice.
Right. Yeah. And like going back to the baby steps, this is practice. Right? Mm-hmm. Like taking the baby steps to focus on the side of polarity of whatever it is you want, to focus on the pole that you want on whatever topic it is, then this takes practice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think if you're watching this or you're listening to this, whatever you want to improve, you definitely need to practice. And I would even challenge you to go further and to practice with practice. Like practice everything. It doesn't matter. Everything, your breakfast, your coffee, your schedule, your everything, like the whole day. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, so how can focusing on the pole I want on whatever topic it is, can this help me dealing with a negative or toxic person in my life?
Yeah, understanding polarities and using your focus to navigate them can always help you with just about anything. The first thing to understand is that there's no such thing as a negative person. As soon as you label them like that, you're screwed.
Okay. Why?
Because human beings are complicated and they grew up over many years and they started one way and they ended up another way. And maybe they were super innocent as kids and now they're terrible bad, but they can always get back to that innocence. And like, so labeling a human being as negative is putting them in a box, and you're never going to get them out of it. It's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, so if someone's abusing you and treating you like shit and they're a toxic human being, like this is...
No, again, like you're already off. So there's the polarity of putting people in boxes and labeling them, and there's a polarity as treating them as adaptable humans capable of change. You see?
Okay, but sometimes it's hard to feel that way when someone's beating your
Of
ass
course,
or treating you like
all
shit.
polarity, because it's comfortable to just label people. You've already spent many years labeling people, and now you're in the comfort zone of labeling people, and so you need practice not labeling people. And so now you bring up this question, and I'm good at not labeling people, so I automatically catch it. Like I'm not at this polarity of labeling people, and I'm like, yeah, I see where you're
okay. But if I'm trying to deal with somebody,
but this is the start. This is the step one: is to deal. You're either going to deal with someone who's a self-fulfilling prophecy that can never be solved because you've labeled them and put them in a box, or you're dealing with someone who's an unknown prophecy that could go either way, and there might be lots of ways to handle them.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so then how can we use this to deal with how we react to those people then? Maybe that's a better question.
Either way, you have to start by acknowledging that every human being has positive and negative inside them.
Yes. Okay.
They have both polarities inside them. They're not just...
Even horrible people who are abusive and treat others like shit and emotionally manipulate them, they have positive inside them.
Yeah, and they might treat their families really well.
Yeah,
they might take care of people. They might have some good benefits somewhere, somehow.
Right.
They might be mean to you at that moment. They might be acting out of a neurosis or something, some illness. But every human being has positive and negative inside them. And during their lifetime, they're accessing both at various times.
Yeah. Okay.
This isn't Hollywood movies. You're not talking to Darth Vader, you're not talking to the Emperor or whatever, some Galactus planet devourer or whatever. Humans have positive and negative inside them. And so they have both polarities inside them. And so what can we do with polarities?
Focus on them.
And if you label them negative, what side of them are you focused on?
The negative side.
Yeah. What polarity? The negative one. And so, like all polarities, how do we get out of this? How do we get out of this?
We focus on the positive.
Yeah, you have to baby step your way to focusing on the positive.
Yeah.
And no one tries this, but if you try it honestly, sincerely, with a committed heart, and you really take the responsibility on yourself to baby step your way to seeing the positives of this person, you will be stunned by the result. So why don't we try it? Let's experiment.
Okay.
Name someone negative or toxic
Trump.
or whatever. Sure. Okay.
Trump.
Okay. So that came to mind pretty fast.
Yeah.
So when I see someone respond like that, it's generally a safe assumption to assume that they've thought many negative things about this person, labeled this person as negative. This person is like a larger than life villain to them, and they don't have very many positive things to say for the most part.
That would be spot on, yes.
So then you are very focused on his negative polarity.
Yes.
And you've done very little practice or effort to shift that focus to anything positive.
Right.
And most people won't even want to do this because they're like scared they'll become a fan or something, or like I don't want to say anything positive about it.
I've already switched parties, so I think I'm good. But yeah, I got you. Well, you know what I mean. I'm no longer a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I have my own party of the third way. So
all right. So then you'll have an easier time than most people because you're more open to it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to say, like, most people would say my dad's an abuser, he's negative, he's a villain. Trump is an whatever and whatever and whatever. And they are committed and
they don't want to see them as anything less than the villain that they have made in their mind.
Right. But then they are not using their power of focus. They are now focused on their comfort zone, labeling them as negative, and they are consciously refusing to see the positive. And this is not a healthy approach.
Okay. So full disclosure then, I've already worked on this a little bit.
So we should choose someone that you really...
So I really dislike.
Yeah, and you don't have to name them out loud. You could give them a fake name, right? It might be like an aunt or uncle or a cousin or a family member, an old friend or something from history or an old ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, something. But whatever. Give them a fake name and really keep them in your mind, and we're going to try this.
Okay, I got it. The fake name we're giving this person is Andy.
Andy. Okay. So I'm sure you have a list of terrible things about Andy. I don't want to dwell on it, but if you could just rifle off a few things that don't identify them.
Emotionally abusive, arrogant, mean. Well, emotionally abusive is pretty strong.
Okay.
You know, they're an abusive person.
Okay.
They're cruel and they have zero empathy.
All right. Okay. So that was clearly on this side of the polarity.
Mhm.
Our job is to get you to this side of the polarity, or as close as we can, through baby steps and practice, and then watch what happens.
Okay.
So this is where your creativity and your heart come into play. Can you be a loving person? Can you see the positives in these people, in this person? Okay, so let's name some.
They are generous with their time.
Okay, they're generous with their time. This is good. You're starting to see them as more human, and you're starting to move yourself along this polarity.
Yeah. They are considerate with other people sometimes.
Okay. They are generous with their time, and they are sometimes considerate.
Yes. Do you want more?
Well, it's as many baby steps as you want to take. If you're satisfied with 2, or you're tired and you feel emotionally drained and you can't do it, then we stop. But if you're committed to practicing, you're going to push yourself and you're going to try and get as many as you can.
Okay. Well, there's more, I guess. They care about animals and kids.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great characteristic to have?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Have they ever done a single nice thing for you ever? Held open a door, sent a birthday note, anything?
yes. Yeah.
So they have done some nice things for me at some point.
Yes.
So they're capable of nice things.
Yeah.
So someone who's capable of nice things and capable of evil things can change. They have free will.
Yes.
They're not a programmed evil robot who has to be one way.
No.
So this is good. This is someone who can change. And if they can change, who knows what the future holds?
I've not seen change in this person, but
We'll see. Now you've just gone back to the other polarity, right? You just took a baby step back.
Yeah.
And you've undone some of our work. And that's fine. I'm not
No, I know.
mad about it.
I know.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you're making a journey of focus, a focus journey, a polarity journey, you're either taking steps forward or you're taking steps back. And this is what people do. They take a few steps forward and then they go back to their feed or their distraction or whatever, and they start hating again, and they've just undone all their work, and they wonder why things never change.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was clearly taking the journey. I mean, I don't have the emotional baggage with this person, so it's easier for me. But I was like, well, then anything could happen. If people can change, that's huge. And I was getting excited. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling really positive about this person. I bet they're going to change tomorrow. Like I started feeling really good. But you could see that we had a different pace along that journey.
Right. I don't know if this is positive or negative, but it's what came into my mind was this person is traumatized, has been traumatized in their past.
So that's probably positive because you started out labeling them as like some nefarious villain, terrible person, and now you're giving them an out. You're like making excuses for their behavior. You're like, you know what? I get why they might behave this way. It could come from trauma and stuff. Maybe it's not their fault. It's sort of a positive vibe.
Yeah.
Compared to your original stance.
Sure. Okay.
Right? Only you know if it's positive or negative, but it seems to me to be you were reaching for a positive.
Yes, I was.
But only you know.
I was reaching for a positive, and I brought up the traumas because, just like you said, I know this person has reasons for how they've become.
Right.
And they have not dealt with all the trauma because they are unaware of how some of it has affected them.
Yeah. And did they have a me to teach them?
No.
Is someone mentoring them?
Absolutely not.
You have one. Now you got over a lot of your issues, but you had a lot of help.
Yes.
Well, not everyone has that sometimes.
Right.
Right. So they're traumatized and they don't have a mentor and no one's really helped them or raised them very well.
No.
Now we're being more loving. You're extending grace to them.
Yes.
We're putting judgment aside. Can you feel the difference in your whole like cells, like your shoulders and your neck and your jaw when you were first talking about them? I wish we had like some Zoom camera or something, or I could have like some X-ray I could have showed you, but things
I still do
changing.
Not like this person.
Well, see, now you just took a step back.
Wait, hold on.
It was unnecessary.
Okay,
in our exercise. I will let you talk, but I'm teaching something here. I'm the teacher, you're the student, you ask the question, I'm giving the answer, and I will let you speak. But if you're going to interrupt the teacher and like set us back, you have to acknowledge it.
I'm not trying to set it back.
But you did.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I felt like what you said. So you said some people don't want to do this because they're afraid they'll become a fan. So I felt compassion for this person and immediately wanted to pull it away because I still don't like this person.
See?
And it made me almost afraid that I would actually like this person if I continued finding positive things.
But what's wrong with liking another human being?
Well, this person was emotionally abusive.
But this person might have done that because of trauma and because they were raised poorly and they didn't have all the help that you had and so on and so forth.
Right.
And so you could help them stop being emotionally abusive, but no one's going to help them if we all stand around in a circle and like, I hate this person and I don't like this person.
Yeah.
You could be the one to help this person. Is it so bad to love another human? Is it so bad to become a fan of this person? Doesn't mean you have to go condone everything they did or cheer on their bad behavior, but you could love them enough to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, people pull away and they stop their polarity journey because they're scared to become a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be a fan of this person. I don't condone anything they've done. It sounds like they treated you very poorly and I don't like that. And I don't respect that. Like, I'm not encouraging that, but I would still like to help. I'm okay to be a fan of this person, but maybe you're not. But that's as far as you can go on your journey then. And so even this alone can create change. It can create change in your communication, in your interactions. It can create inspired ideas. New solutions can come to you. Having a different attitude on a different polarity can manifest a new reality. If you're focused on a poverty polarity, you will never get out of poverty. But if you can baby step your way to a wealth polarity or pole, you can actually create wealth. If you're focused on out of shape, you won't always be out of shape. But if you can baby step your way towards, you know what, I'm getting the hang of this. I don't mind being out of shape for now. It's fine. I'm going to get a diet book. I'm going to get an exercise thing. You start baby stepping your way, you can create health and fitness and attractiveness. And you can do the same with people. If you want to stay not a fan and stay hating this negative, toxic person, that will be a reality forever. Like, you will never get out of this polarity.
Yeah.
Or you can baby step your way all the way to, you know what, I might be the perfect person to help this person. Or you know what, I'm not a fan and I want to be around this person, but I hope they get help and I hope they change and show me something different someday. Like, you can get to a very positive place.
Yeah.
But not if you stop yourself.
Fair play.
And same for wealth and same for fitness and same for everything. If you stop yourself on the way to that awesome polarity where you're really celebrating it and you actually are a fan of wealth and a fan of fitness and a fan of this toxic person, that's where the real magic happens. Works for every polarity. Want to stop?
No. So yeah, no, this is excellent. And this was very helpful and I appreciate it. And I'm happy to have been the guinea pig to help other people see this and see. So I'll be honest, I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts while you were talking. So my very first thought when you're like, oh, you could be the one to help this person. And the first thought was, fuck that bitch. And they don't deserve any of my help. I helped them for years. I gave and gave and gave. And this person shit all over me and abused me. But that said, I feel better having talked it out and found positive things about this person. What made me feel better is when you said, even if I don't want this person in my life, I hope they find help. Because that was that right there. I went back. When you said that, I went back to where I was. Okay. Because even though I would never give this person the time of day to have a conversation with me through a text and a video or a phone call, nothing, this person would not get my time. However, I do hope that they've gotten help and that their relationships since me have improved and they have found a partner and not victims. So even though I started the thoughts of this bee, now I feel like I really do hope they have someone to guide them, even if it's not you or someone like you or as good as you. I hope that they've learned their lessons through what happened with me to be a better person.
Yeah, it's a huge journey, a great focused journey on that polarity. And now you're a more loving human. You're a more positive person. And now maybe you don't feel the same tension and
No, and that fear of being a fan went away too when you said that. Like,
it's okay to be a fan of terrible people. Like,
It's-
cheer them on and hope that they succeed in life in a good, positive way. Hope they see the light and change their ways. Hope they come to some realizations. Like, I'm a fan of these people. I want you guys to become better. And I'm not going to say what that is or how you're supposed to be or whatever, but everyone grows and everyone evolves. And I really do hope you do as well in a smooth, easy way. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of annoying, toxic people that I hate that I'm a fan of. Like, I'm cheering them on, really.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go as far as to call myself a fan, but I definitely feel more positive about this person than I think ever have.
Yeah.
I mean, since
great job.
All the stuff happened and whatever. But I think the idea of wanting this person to heal and be better, this is my brand. This is what I do, is help people.
So it's perfect.
And so even though they'll never get my direct help, at least now I don't want them to die.
Yeah, it's not even about them. Walking around the earth wanting someone to die is unhealthy for you. It will cause stress and anxiety. If they pop up in your feed or a friend of a friend mentions them or something, you're going to feel crunchy the rest of the day. But that's gone now. You have just elevated yourself hugely. You don't forgive others for them. You forgive them for you. It's like a practice for you to make your life better. It's really selfish. Like, forgiving others is a selfish thing, and it's a good thing, a healthy thing. And I highly recommend it. And you just did it. And you went from a comfort zone of this person is toxic, labeling them negative, polarity, and you moved to a healthier, happier, more positive pole. And your life got better for it right now. And every moment that deals with this person in the future is going to be handled differently by you. And you're going to have a much easier time with it as long as you keep practicing this and stay on this and keep your focus here. If your focus shifts back, you won't handle it well, and it will make you have a whole unproductive day as you go stomp and tantrum about this person.
Yeah, thank you. This is good. I think this will help other people who have had to deal with people like Andy in their past and don't know how to think about them, or just feel so much anger and negativity when they think about that person. So I know what that's like. And even if this person isn't on my mind very often ever, when their real name is mentioned, because it's a common name, and I hear it, I don't think about them anymore. But if I do, it's like how it started. Toxic, they're horrible, I hate them, blah, blah, blah. And now I don't feel that way. So they're not ever going to be my friend, but it is what it is. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for explaining all this to me. Thank you for walking me through my example to help me to go through the polarity journey together, and so that everyone else can see too. So I know this will help others. You are amazing and awesome, and I truly appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Great questions.
Thanks. So do you have anything that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah. All of us have polarities that we want to journey across. We all have negative poles that we start at and positive poles that we want to end up as. This is very important. This is a huge part of your life. Most of us want to go from broke to wealthy, or from abstinent to sexually satisfied, or from unhealthy to healthy, or from unattractive to attractive. Most of us want to make these journeys, these big journeys, and they're not that big at all. But it all starts with your focus. Your focus is the main tool to navigate these polarities. Your focus is your main tool to make these journeys. And most of us have very distracted, undisciplined focus, and we don't put in the practice necessary to shift our focus along those polarities and reach the pole we want. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's really easy to change. You just have to apply yourself a little bit. I know it's comfortable in the comfort zones of how it's always been. And I know that thinking new thoughts and journaling new things and feeling new feelings and adjusting your focus towards the more positive ends of these polarities feels hard. But y'all are bright, smart, talented, powerful people. You guys know that you can do this. You can shift your focus, and no one can do it for you. And Cyn just did it in front of you for a very troubling historical relationship. And you can do the same thing. And I can too. Maybe I have to do it for everyone. Maybe I've been focused on people not getting it fast enough or not practicing. And my focus on others not practicing has prevented me from reaching a world where everyone's practicing. You see, they're everywhere. The polarities are everywhere, and they sneak into our language and our thoughts and our focus. And now I have a new thing to focus on. Not even when I end this podcast, right now, I'm focused on more of humanity practicing well. That's part of the polarity. There's an absence of practice and there's a focus on practice. And I'm focusing more and more on everyone practicing and getting the hang of this and really speeding along their journeys to wealth and attractiveness and satisfaction and relationships and more. And I hope this podcast on polarities has helped you. Can't wait to see what you do with it. I love you all. Thank you.
And that's why our book and this podcast is called Eyes Wide Open.
Keep rising.